Good evening, everyone. Today we have Meenu Chopra with us, and she's the founder of Vanchika Trust and Eva Jewelry. Her organization is basically a self-financed NGO which sends the migrants kids
Livelihoods for communities and also taking the kids to school because I inherently feel that to be for the kids to be able to have a bright future, it is important to bring quality education to them. We this Vanchika Trust was started because of that passion only because there is this big slum in Delhi, Kapasera, where there are a lot of migrants. I think the biggest migrant population resides there. So I had gone there, and when I saw the plight of the kids there, I was really moved, and I thought that we should do something about them because there was a segment of families who were not sending their kids to school, and basically because one, they didn't have the money. Secondly, they didn't understand the value of education, and thirdly, most of the girls were not being sent because they had to cater to their siblings, the younger siblings, and also they had to do the household work while their mothers were away working at factories and all. So we started this out of passion. We started with 10 kids. It was very difficult to convince them, but once we got them to school, we just to be able to bring them to school, we also had to create a small play corner for the younger siblings because otherwise there was no place that these siblings could go to. So once we started, we got them interested in activities based learning, and because of that, word spread, and very school soon the school grew to a strength of 150 kids. So we were not doing this to generate donations or to get funding from elsewhere. It was just a passion. So me and my husband, both of us, decided that we are going to self fund it and provide quality education to students. So right now also the demand is huge. There are parents that we have to turn down every day because the kids who are enrolled in our school are really learning very well. So we provide them bridge education as well as remedial. So we focus on students who've never been to school. We keep like bring them to our school for 1 year and bring them to a level so that they can join the classes according to their age in government schools or private schools wherever they want to go, and after that we give them remedial education so that they don't drop out again. So in addition, we give them a lot of uh, like we involve them in a lot of activities like theater and art and craft and music, dance, and computer classes as well. And we've also started English conversation skills with them. So these are the things that they don't get access to in government schools also. So every day we have parents coming to us, but we right now are not taking in students because our focus is on quality. It's not on increasing the numbers. And right now, through our self funded thing, we will not be able to cater to more students. But the idea that we had thought about was of making the school sustainable, not to be dependent on donations at all. So what I did was that 2 years back, I also started making jewelry under the brand name of Eva. So I make a lot of handmade jewelry, and right now it's been selling through family and friends. And now we've started onboarding on e-commerce portals and all also. So the entire idea is that once the sales pick up and become substantial, we are going to set up a livelihood center at Kapa Seda, so that the women can earn. Now, all the profits from EVA have been going to this thing, the school. So the model that we thought of for Vanchika Trust was to be able to help the community, especially the women, to be able to live with their heads held high. So we are going to train women, and the women are going to earn an income through making jewelry, and the profits are going to go to the school. So they will also get a lot of respect from the community because it's through their hard work that the school would be running. So that's the model that we've thought of, and we are really hoping that we'll be able to make it sustainable going ahead. But till that time, we are there to support the school through our personal funds and all.
Yes, that sounds wonderful because I have stayed in Delhi for the last 4 years. Actually, I was a student of the Delhi University. So we used to have this NSS program where we could like go and teach kids in the NGOs or orphanages. But like I had noticed that some of the parents did not want their kids to like go to schools. Instead, they would want them earning and doing something else. So was it difficult in the start, to persuade their parents to maybe let them go to school?
Yeah, it is because to be able to provide education to these communities, a lot of counseling is required rigorously with the parents also. So we keep having these meetings with the parents regularly, where we keep counseling them about the importance of studying education and letting their kids study, and even but yes, the parents do understand now. Now that I've seen that over the past 4 years, we've seen the attitude of parents also changing, and that those of kids also changing. So there've been case studies in our school where, we've managed to get kids interested in education, and these were those kids who have been rebels and who have clearly said no to education. So now they are so happy studying in their classes. They are ahead in their classes, and like one of the girls, I can name her here. Her name is Sudha. So she was a total rebel and a tomboy and never wanted to go to school. So when she was 11, we brought her to our school, and then through regular counseling with her as well as the parents, we managed to get her ready for entrance exam for her class. And when she gave the entrance exam, she got admission in a school. Now she is one girl that who will go to the government school, come back, and within 10 minutes she is at Saksham school, waiting for the remedial classes to begin. And on holidays, what she does is she comes to school and helps the younger ones study. So she has been advocating, like she's become an advocate for education for her community, and she tells kids that it's very important to learn, and it's very interesting, once you start going to school and learning new things. So those are the sort of changes that we've seen in students, and there've been a lot of case studies like this. You can read a few at our website also. So
Yes,
it is important for the parents to understand, but I feel that through rigorous counseling that can be turned around. Now even parents want their kids to study, because sometimes they it's really sad also, because they are living in Delhi, they're living in a place where all of us live, and there are so many things which are just a regular routine for us, and we for which we don't even give a thought. But those are the things that these kids are deprived of. I can give you an example. When we started the school, we also used to, and till now also we do that, we have classes on good manners, hygiene, and things like that. So I remember one particular parent teacher meeting when child's father came to me and said, we are so happy we sent our children here. आपने क्या जादू किया है? I said, क्यों, क्या हुआ? So he says, अब मैं शाम को घर आता हूँ फैक्ट्री से, तो मेरा बच्चा कुछ कुछ गुड़ गुड़ करके बोलता है, कुछ मुझे बड़े प्यार से बोलता है और मुझे पानी लाकर पिलाता है. आई सेड गुड इवनिंग बोलता है, तो ही सेड हाँ हाँ यही बोलता है, मुझे समझ नहीं आता, मतलब नमस्ते करता है तो समझ में आता है, और सुबह भी कुछ ऐसा ही बोलता है. सर गुड मॉर्निंग बोलता होगा. कहता हाँ गुड मॉर्निंग करता है, मेरे पैर छूता है, ऐसा तो हमने कभी किया ही नहीं था. तो दे वर सो हैप्पी. दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट वी बीन ब्रॉट अप विद. ये छोटी छोटी चीजें जो है इन लोगों को पता ही नहीं होती. So those are for us now, because they are very happy that their kids are learning, and especially they are very happy when kids indulge in craft and come up with beautiful products, and they make good products from waste. So that is where the parents also see start feeling very proud and happy. So it's been a journey convincing parents also. But now Saksham school has reached a stage where parents do understand the importance of education. And we have parents, because we are very strict about attendance, because sometimes these communities get enrolled just for the sake of getting enrolled. So they're not regular and things like that. So we are very strict. If a child is not regular, we remove their names from the school. So we've seen cases where parents come and say that we are sorry and we will make sure that our child is regular. but please don't strike off their name from the school, because they're really learning and we want them to learn. So that change is coming about, and I'm sure a lot of other school, like NGOs like Vanchika Trust are engaged in all this, and slowly a change is coming about. So
Yes, yes, it sounds like wonderful. Like these things that you're providing, no government school provides that usually. So I think the resources that you're providing and the kind of education you're providing, even the parents have started the advocacy for, the education, the importance of that sort of education.
yeah.
Yes. So I have I have read a lot about you. So you even like have done a lot of charity work, and you're even part of the Fair Trade Forum, right? And like you've done a lot of work. So is there anything in any incident in particular that led to this passion of yours, like education? I have seen like you are a motivational speaker also, and you do a lot of things. But like, is there any reason why you uh, like advocate for education?
See, as you would know, I did my physics honors from St.
Yes.
Stephen's, but very early in my life, I realized that I'm not cut out for that. Like already, I was interested in physics. I wanted to learn more, so I did that. But very soon, I realized that my real passion lies in helping our communities, and I will not be able to work just for money. So whenever I work, some tangible difference needs to be made to some communities. Otherwise, I'm not satisfied. And I also had I was freelancing with ActionAid, and I could see and read about a lot of communities, and it made me really sad, because what I feel is poverty is a very vicious circle. You are poor, you can't send your kids to school, you're doing menial jobs, you indulge them in child labor, the children get start doing substance abuse, and then they fall into a bigger circle of poverty. So it's a very very vicious circle, and the root problem is education, because people don't realize, and it's not their fault also. If somebody doesn't have food in their stomach, they can hardly think of education. So that is where I realized that education is also something which is very important, whether or not a child goes to school. But a child should be able to learn, read, and write, and they should be slowly able to come out of this state. So, at certain points, it is important for children also to work, because otherwise their families will die of hunger. But yes, education is the root, because until and unless you are educated, and once one child gets educated, his generations are going to be educated. So I wanted to break that vicious circle somewhere, and I thought that education and livelihood are the key to that. So these are the two most important things which need to be brought to these communities, so that they can come out of this vicious circle of poverty. Education is very important for kids and even for adults who want to take it up, but at the same time we need to provide livelihood opportunities for the adults in the family, so that they can allow their kids to go to school, so that no child is pushed into child labor. So I felt that education and livelihoods are two things which go hand in hand, and they are very very crucial sort of elements for breaking this circle of poverty. So that is why I actually started first at home. I started educating the children of my maid, and trying to teach them certain things, and slowly this passion grew, and then we started the school at Kapasera.
Yes, I think we all like start at the very basic level. Like at our house also, we always encourage like our house helpers kids, they should go to college and school and get their basic education. Sometimes we try to help them, we get them books and provide them things. So, they'll be really motivated to go. And I wanted to ask you, like, did you have a role model when you were a young kid, maybe our age, when we were in college, you were in college, did you have like a model, like role model that motivated you?
See, I would not say that I had a role model who motivated me, because, very frankly, when we were in school, there was no computer, there was no internet, and we could not read about a larger number of people or leaders who are in the society. But yes, I had a very good sort of orientation, because the school that I went to believed a lot in, like, we had the subject called SUPW, which was social work. So we used to go to government schools and teach kids there, and I always used to come back very sad, because I used to tell my mom that it makes me really sad that we have access to such good education, we have such good teachers, but when we go to government schools, we just see teachers sitting there in the sun eating chai samosa, and kids not learning anything at all. So when we used to have these classes with the kids, there used to be at least 4 or 5 good kids in every class who wanted to learn, but didn't get the opportunity to learn because the teachers were not interested, their peers were not interested. So that I think made me want to think more and more about how we can do things and what can be done. Then when I started working, I co-founded an organization called iCongo, where I curated this Karmaveer Puraskar. Me along with my partner, we curated Karmaveer Puraskar, and there I came across a lot of role models. Actually, I came across ladies, like poor villagers who've never been educated, never been to school, who were toiling day and night to ensure that every child in their village gets access to education. So those Karmaveer heroes have been my inspiration. Those have been my role models, and they've really inspired me to do something in life, because sometimes you sit back and think these people are leading such a challenging life, and yet they're doing so much. So what are we doing? So let's also put in our bit. So there are a lot of inspiring people in the world, and most of them are in the villages of India. So I think all of them who are toiling hard to bring about a change, all of them are my role models.
I think we should really thank the internet, because in our generation we get to know about a lot of stories and a lot of people who we can look up to. Like,
Yeah.
I can totally resonate with the fact that you are so passionate about education, because somewhere even I am about, kids education. So I really like advocating about it, but not at, obviously not how you do it. But yes, I would totally love to when I grow up and I, reach at a certain point, and I would totally love to do it that way. So you've taken, like, my next question is, you've taken under a lot of projects. What is the hardest project that you had to ever go through?
The
Like,
hardest project.
yes.
See, I've worked with several organizations in my life. Like I've been I've been working with organizations so that I can fund the school also. So I've done projects with ActionAid India. I've done projects with like I worked with Skillshare International, and I with Fair Trade Forum India and AFTEC also. I've worked with a lot of NGOs in the last 19 years. I would say that every project that I've taken up, when we start thinking about a project design or concept, that there things need like look difficult, but translating them into action has never been difficult. But one of the most challenging projects has been with refugees, because we say that communities do have problems, but refugee community faces a lot more problems, because they have no access to documentation in India, because of which they don't have Aadhaar cards, they don't have bank accounts. To be able to provide livelihood opportunities for refugees has been very challenging, but it has been very interesting, and definitely we came up with so many new like so many ideas and so many models that over the last 3 4 years Fair Trade Forum India has been able to generate livelihood opportunities for a lot of refugees. But yes, that was a very very challenging project. It has been, but at the same time it was very interesting. And now, so even though I'm not working with Fair Trade Forum India any more, but I am still so much attached to that project, to those groups, that I would keep generating livelihood opportunities for them. And one of the most challenging things was also when we started this Saksham school, because the initial idea was to have a school in a bus. So I got funding for it. I got a bus converted into school. Uh, like went door to door to get students to be a part of the school, and सबसे ज्यादा जो सुनने को मिलता था पेरेंट्स से, आप बस में हमारे बच्चे लेकर भाग जाओगे. So that was the biggest thing. I used to say, why will I run away with your kids? What will I do with them? So eventually, to be able to get them to school, I had to give the keys of the bus to them. आप चाबी रख लो, मुझे हिलाना नहीं है बस यहाँ से. और then I told them, to one parent I also said, आके पेट्रोल का टंकी चेक कर लो. मैं पेट्रोल ही नहीं डलवाऊंगी बस में. चलेगी कैसे बस. So that was also very challenging. Like getting those first set of 10 students to school was very, very difficult.
Yes, like if there is something that you would like to, see, like a change you would like to see in this new year, what would you want? A change in society?
I would like to see people getting more conscientious about their role in bringing about a change, because it's a general human tendency that we keep blaming others for things which are not done. We keep saying ये तो गवर्नमेंट का काम है, ये तो मीडिया का काम है, ये तो एनजीओस का काम है, फिर एनजीओस क्या कर रहे हैं, ये तो पेरेंट्स का काम है, फिर पेरेंट्स क्या कर रहे हैं. But the thing is, I would be really happy if each citizen starts realizing that they are the real change agents and they have the power to bring about a change. And change starts with yourself. So even if you start taking a small step towards addressing any social issue that you are passionate about, I think that would be the biggest change, and that is what I would want to see. Because if that happens, then everything is taken care of automatically. Then the challenges will disappear. But
I
I
think
know
if
it's a hypothetical situation, so it's too
yes,
aspirational, I would say. But still,
but yeah, if everybody like realizes they have a social responsibility, I think world would be a better place if everybody
yeah,
does a little bit.
yeah. But things have started changing. People are becoming more conscious about their role also, and there is a big shift towards sustainability as well. So, how do we ensure sustainability in all aspects? And because of that, if more people become conscious, a lot of our artisans who are toiling hard across the country, they will also get livelihoods. So, yes, it's good. There is a lot of hope, and I'm sure more and more people will get more conscious about such things.
Yes, and last year was really difficult due to this pandemic and the lockdown. So, were there any difficulties that you had to face in your foundation, like the Eva jewelry, like the artisans had to face?
In the artisans, like I will talk both about, because last year I was also with the Fair Trade Forum India. So there, yes, the markets were affected adversely, and because of that, a lot of artisans lost their livelihood and they are struggling for. Yeah, so as I was saying, the markets have been like affected adversely. The spending power of people have gone down. So the livelihoods of artisans has been affected very badly, because one, they have no orders, their orders were cancelled. Then the traditional markets are no longer operational in the same way as they were before. So all the artisans don't have the wherewithal to be on digital platforms, and they have huge inventories piled up. So they were really suffering. But yes, their things have started getting better now. And in terms of, if I talk about Saksham School under Vanchika Trust, so that has been really adversely affected, because it has been, as other schools have been shut down, the Saksham School also has been shut down since March. And we are getting calls from students saying that we are a little anxious because the studies are being affected now. So, but the sad part there is that all of the students don't have access to mobile phones. So we cannot even go digital as of now. Like we can start online classes through the computer center at Saksham School, but then all the kids will not have access to smartphones or even phones for that instance. So that their studies have been adversely affected. So now what we are planning to do is from 11th of January, we will start classes for the senior students now, so that at least they can catch up and be ready for their examinations also in the schools. So,
Yes,
yes, so on both fronts, it has been a
yes,
challenging year, but sure we'll overcome the challenges and we'll be back on track.
it's difficult for us too because we are doing the internship online. Like I am at my house, but we are working with the NGO in Mumbai, so it's like that. And I really hope the next year is this year turns out to be a much better year, educationally, financially, everything in the world. So thank you,
Let's
ma'am,
hope.
for taking out the time to talk to us. It was really enjoying talking to you, and we learned a lot about how education is important, especially for people who do not have that sort of resources, because breaking the poverty cycle is really important. Thank you so much.
Thank
Over
you
to
so
you,
much,
Sarjana,
Ravika.
ma'am.
It was a pleasure interacting with you. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Bye.
Ma'am, just a minute. Our mentor would
Uh,
like to talk to you.
okay. Uh, Ma'am, thank you so much for being there with us. I'm Saujanya Prasad. I am a representative from Dore Foundation, and I'm the mentor of these two lovely MBA students who have had the pleasure of talking to you. We are really, really, really honored to have you here. Sumitra ma'am has told us so much about you. Our ex-fellow, she speaks about you so highly. So we're really honored and grateful to have you here. And I think the insights that you've provided us is something that, regardless of which field we are in, it really tells us that all of us need to stick to, our commitment and tide over the tough times, because nothing starts easy. If you are committed towards something, then you have to go through those moments of people saying तुम बच्चों को चुरा के लेके चली जाओगी. So whatever we're doing, we need to stick to our commitment and overcome the initial challenges. And it's also important that students, the youth, everybody kind of knows that social responsibility is an individual responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the government, the society, other people. It starts with us. So I think that's something that we all need to keep hearing, so that we all remember and we all try to work towards it. I think you are an example of that. You took up the initiative saying it's my responsibility, and you show us that it can be done. It is difficult, but it's not impossible. So thank you so much for being a part of our interview today. We're really honored. um, you might have noticed that we are recording this session. We're creating a catalog that can help to spread awareness, motivation, and inspiration for others as well. So this will be edited by the girls and put up on the Foundation social media platforms, so that more students, more youth, and people in general can really hear people in the field and know that it's possible, it's achievable, and it's necessary. It's the need of the hour. So thank you so much for being part of today's interview, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sachanya,
Thank
and
you,
thanks a
ma'am.
lot for creating this platform. And I really look forward to sort of seeing that catalog and seeing more interviews so that I can see life is a learning process. It's so good to learn
Definitely.
from various people and see the sort of work that's happening around. And
Definitely.
yes, there are so many people. I would say that I've just taken the first step and it's just a drop in the ocean. But yes, the ocean is full
It's
of
an
so many
important
drops
drop in
that
the
it would
ocean.
be lovely to learn about more people. So thank
Definitely,
you
ma'am.
so
We will
much for
share the
creating this
catalog as
platform
well.
also and for this
Thank you,
initiative.
ma'am.
So
Thank
best
you for
wishes
being
to all
part
of
of it.
you.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.